And welcome back into the Icebox, where I'm joined now by head coach of the Stars, Cody Chupp, for coach's comments. And Coach, tonight shootout loss, but it seemed that this game was actually, first time in a while that it was a really, really strong, complete effort for a good portion of the game. What were your takes down there, just seeing the response again from last night into tonight?
Yeah, it was completely different last night to tonight. And, I walked into the locker room after the game and asked the guys how they felt about it. And I think they were spot on. They felt better about their effort, better about themselves after tonight. And obviously we wanted the 2 points and the win in the shootout. But, again, it was a step in the right direction because there was a willingness from the entire group to do things right.
It seemed like early in this game, Marshall Walker drops the gloves. I know you and I talked about the same instances yesterday happening in the third period. Marshall goes out there in the first 2 minutes, and, he's a young guy on this team and, obviously had some time off, not off, but missed some time recently. What do you think of a guy like that and his situation coming out and kind of, again, somewhat setting a tone there early for what was a pretty physical and hard-fought game?
No, there's a difference between what happened last night and what happened tonight. Marshall picked a good time, with the weather and the crowd. It got us energized right off the bat, and credit to him. He chose a good opponent. He did a good job. Emotionally, it was good for our group, I thought it kind of pushed us in the right direction and kind of propelled us over the course of the next 60 minutes. Last night was, the game was out of hand. It was 8-0 at the point of those fights, and those 2 fights last night should have happened at 3-0 when they could have made a difference in the game and had an effect on the game. And I think that's the difference between the group that you saw last night and the group that you saw tonight. We picked our spots. We did things together. We did things right tonight. Last night, we had to remind a group that they have to play hard. They have to do those things, and it's not a knock on them. Ultimately, we all need to be better going forward, and we all need to do a better job in our preparation of staying consistent on those things that have nothing to do with skill, have nothing to do with scores, but how we're preparing to go into weekends. It seems like every weekend we're saying we weren't good on Friday. We rebounded and responded on Saturday. As a group, we have to figure out a way to get emotionally engaged on Friday so that we don't have to talk about response. We don't have to talk about those things every single weekend, and we can continue to take steps in the right direction. The foundation of our culture has to be built on that consistency of work and 5 guys on the same page and everybody willing to do the little things right. Without that foundation, it's 1 step forward, 1 step backward, 1 step forward, 1 step backward.
You mentioned that foundation, and one of the phrases that we've said a lot is hard to play against, and it seemed like for really the vast majority of tonight's game that was the case. One thing that really was apparent was a lot of guys getting in front of shots. I think Ryan Carmichael even yesterday was a guy who got in front of about 4 or 5 shots, and it seemed like he was doing more of that today, and it seemed like as a group that was certainly a big factor in some of the defensive effort. And then on the flip side, on the offensive end, more toward the special teams there in the third, obviously power plays had some struggles of late, but it seemed like that power play was one of the better ones in a long time. They did everything but score. It seemed like they had, I don't know, I would just guessing here, about 1:40 in the offensive zone, and we're moving the puck and getting shots on. But are those, again, signs of those culture, signs of those things going in the right direction? How much can you take from that, given that, obviously the power play doesn't produce a goal and tonight's a shootout loss, but even so, those kind of things, which, again, appeared pretty consistent throughout the 60, how big is that, again, moving into another week here?
Well, as long as we continue to move in the right direction, then they're great. And, it's a product of simplicity, and you touched on it. If there's a breakdown, we get a block shot. You look at even 2 seconds left in the game, they pull their goalie, they run a face-off play. We don't get the draw, but, Samuli steps into one and takes it from one of their better, harder shooters, he's willing to put his body on the line in that situation to get a block. Carmichael was probably double-digit blocks this weekend over the course of 2 games, and those things have to stay consistent because we have to all be helping each other, and there are going to be breakdowns and there are going to be mistakes. But if the forwards do a poor job, you expect the D to bail them out, and if the D don't bail them out, you expect the goalie to bail them out. And when those things are going for you, and it's guys willing to put their bodies on the line for the benefit or the good of the group, then more often than not, you keep yourself in games. And tonight was a product of guys willing to do those little things, and it's not always the glorious or the sexy things to do, but they're just as important as scoring a goal in the course of 60 minutes. A guy that blocks 5 shots, it's worth a goal, and so tonight was a step in the right direction. Special teams, it was a step in the right direction. But we have to continue to move in the right direction. We can't get to Friday or we can't get to our next game and say, what were we doing? We took a step backwards and then have to rebound and respond. And that's what's important. We talk about the foundation of what we're trying to accomplish and build here. The foundation is key, and the foundation is 5 guys willing to do those things throughout the course of 60 minutes and trusting each other, believing in each other. Our bench emotion was fantastic tonight, and it's no shock, and it's no coincidence that we had a better performance as a group.
Right, last one here, and I know I don't want to get too far ahead because obviously there's a week of practice in between now and next weekend, and it's another couple of games against Omaha, one there, one here. Obviously last couple of games against them haven't really gone the way you guys have wanted. Being that it is the rivalry that it is, what are you looking forward to trying to emphasizing here in this week?
Well, we expect it to be a good atmosphere. We expect it to be an up-tempo, emotional game. Anytime we play Omaha, the fans are a little bit more on edge, or the players are a little bit more on edge, and we talk about it all the time. It's the best rivalry in the league, and both teams are having years that they look to rebound from, and now Omaha's started to create a little bit of push for themselves, and we're still trying to find our push. So I expect it to be a great atmosphere. I expect players to be excited for it. Ultimately for us, it's important that we continue to take steps forward starting Monday, and there's no steps backwards leading into this weekend. And our fans expect a certain game. Our fans expect us to compete and work and be up for Omaha, and we expect the same of ourselves.
All right, Coach, as always, we appreciate the time, and we'll talk to you during the week.
Thank you.